students, I'm Ashul Sharma, your educator. In these concept series, we have been discussing many concepts related to teaching aptitude. In today's class also, we are going to discuss about Garnier and his steps of instruction, his outcomes that he did. He discussed that there are some outcomes that the teacher should see in the class, and there are the other conditions that he discussed about the learning. So there are few things that he talked about, and all of these we are going to discuss in this class today. Garnier's 9 levels of learning we are going to start with. Let us jump into the video and let us discuss it. So Garnier's 9 levels of learning is also known as Garnier's 9 conditions of learning. It is also called as Garnier's 9 events of instruction or Garnier's taxonomy of learning as well. So Garnier said that there can be learning that is possible. For a learning to happen, there is cognitive behavior and behavioral skills that are increased in the mind of the student. For if the teacher wants to make the child learn, then she or he has to first of all target on the behavior of the child plus on the cognitive skills. So there are two schools or two theories that are very important. First is the behavioral set of theories. These behaviorists that fall under the behaviorism theory of teaching the students said that the behavioral change of a child can help them learn. They were what? They were Ivan Pavlov, B.F. Skinner, all of these, and Watson were the father or were the people who were, or the theorists who were talking about the behaviorist theory. Then there were few who were saying that the cognitive skills of the child can develop the proper learning skills. Garnier combined the two things, the two theories together, and he started with talking about the taxonomy of learning, or you can call it as the Garnier's 9 conditions of learning. We will later discuss about the outcomes, what he said that the teacher wants in the learning process, and we will also discuss the different types of learning. So there were different types of learning, as I told you, like the behaviorist theory said that you can make them learn through classical theory, right, through affective theories. There are different theories, but Garnier also said that chaining can be used to make the students learn. So in this video, we will first discuss about the Garnier's taxonomy of learning. Robert Garnier, in his book, The Conditions of Learning, identified the following mental conditions that are essential for effective learning. As the name itself says, it is the levels of learning and it is the events of instruction. So events of instruction का मतलब क्या होता है? What are events? Events are like the lesson planning that the teacher has done. So sometimes in your paper, you can also find that what all are the lesson planning instructions that the teacher can use. They were given by Garnier. So lesson plan, remember the word lesson plan also, because how will the teacher teach the child? The teacher will teach the child in a proper manner when proper lessons are there. So that is why sometimes it is called as the events of instruction also. There are 9 events of instruction, and we will in the course of the video see that how different theories are used by Garnier. So he is not only promoting one set of theories, there are different theories. We in the class have discussed the behaviorist skills, behaviorist set of theories, constructivist, cognitivist, right? So all of these theories are combined together and we will look at this. So events of instruction. According to Garnier, there are 9 events of instructions. There are some internal mental processes attached to it. First is the gaining of the attention. When the teacher enters in the class, the first purpose of the teacher is to gain the attention of the students. This is what I also did when I entered the class. I said, good morning, I'm your teacher. We are going to discuss these topics. What is it? This is gaining the attention of the students. So the first thing that any teacher does in the class is to gain the attention. This means stimuli activates the recipients. This is a stimulus that is provided. What are we going to study is being introduced to you. I am capturing your attention. Then comes the second step, that is inform the learner of the objectives. After introducing myself, I told you we are going to talk about Gagne, right? We are going to discuss about the 9 instructions, about the 8 types of learning, about the 5 types of outcomes of learning as well. This is what? This is laying of my objective. This creates the level of expectations for the learning. What am I expecting from you? What are you expecting from the video? Then there is the third level of instruction. This is what? This is to stimulate, recall the prior learning. So rather than just directly jumping in the teaching process, the teacher tries to recall the prior learning as well. So she in the class would ask, do you remember we did all of these things in the previous class? These are how different schemas, right? Different schemas are joined together to make you have the complete knowledge about that particular thing. Similarly, to make you understand about this topic, I will touch upon the previous knowledge also. This is what is called as to stimulate and recall the prior learning. Retrieval and activation of the short-term memory is done. I will ask, kal humne kya kiya tha? What all things did we discuss in the previous video? I can also say, can we relate this topic with another topic? All of these things are what? This is retrieval. Bringing back again is nothing but retrieval. And why is it a short-term memory? Because it is still stored in the front side of your brain rather than the long-term memory that is stored at the back side. So I am revising the things with you. This is the short-term memory. Then I will present the content, that this is the content I have in front of you. The selective perception of the content is seen here. I will present the content in the most structured manner so that the students can understand the topic. Then there will be providing the learning guidance. I will semantically encode the things in a proper manner so that the students can decode it further. This is providing the learning guidance. Then there is elicit performance. Here, responding to my questions will be done to enhance your encoding and verification. So I will also want to know that decoding is properly done. So I will ask questions from you. I will ask in between, is the topic clear to you? Can we move forward? Is this thing clear? Should I explain it again? What is this? This is the summative evaluation that is done in between. I can also say that this person, you are someone who is going to tell me the definition of this topic that we discussed. So what is it? This is, probing can be done here. So this is a kind of summative evaluation. It is for the practice. It is done in between. It is done for the verification. Then another step is to provide feedback. Here, your reinforcement and assessment of the correct performance is done. I will evaluate you here. Here, the next is your assessing the performance. This is the summative evaluation. Retrieval and reinforcement of the content. This is the final evaluation. Now, I have already taught all the things that I had in mind, all the things that I had structured according to my lesson plan. Now, I will take the final test. Maybe grades can be given at this point of time. So it is the summative evaluation. Enhance retention and transfer to the job. Here, now you have gained the topic. Retention is there. Now you can apply it. So this is called as generalization. Now you have already imbibed and understood everything. So these are my 9 steps of instruction. Let us revise them first. The first is to gain attention. Then inform the learners of the objective, stimulate and recall the prior knowledge, present the content, provide the learning guidance, elicit the performance. This is the formative evaluation. And then I will have the feedbacks. I will ask you, is it clear or not? If not, I will then, if it is clear, of course, I will take the summative evaluation. If not, I will reteach it. This is your summative evaluation. Then comes the end. This is how your problem solving skill would be enhanced because now you have the retention. Now, sometimes you will see words like this: reception, expectancy, retrieval, selective perception. So Garnier here is using the constructivist philosophy, and if we use the constructivist philosophy, these words can be asked. So sometimes in your B.Ed exams also you can see this. If you have to write an answer, they do ask in the question that write the Garnier's philosophy or the theories according to the constructivist theory. So these words are used, and sometimes it is according to the cognitivist and the behaviorist theories. So those words can be also used here, right? So you don't have to be worried about it. You can also learn the theory with the help of these names. It is entirely the same. So here reception is the same as gaining of the attention. See here, this is reception of the recipients also, gaining attention. So they are entirely the same. Sometimes the words can be changed. Let us look at these words also. Reception, you gain the attention of the students. Here the teacher used different voice modulation, different diagrams, different videos for the introduction, handouts, different activities can be used, different student centered methods can be used so that she can capture the attention of the students. Then is the expectancy. Inform them about the objective of what they have to learn from the given topic that you are discussing. How you can capture their interest and what they have to learn. Expectancy. Retrieval, that is relate the new knowledge to their prior knowledge. So old plus the new knowledge will give you the full knowledge about the topic you are discussing. Then again and again discussing and practicing will convert it into your proper memory, that is the long-term memory. Then there is selective perception. Present the new information in the most effective and easy to understand manner. That means structuring the phase 2 of the class interactive can only be possible when phase 1 is correct. That is post-teaching, pre-teaching, right? That pre-teaching phase is when the structuring is happening, right? So selection of what is to be taught in the most easy manner is very important. Then we have the semantic encoding. Help the students to learn and retain the new information using case studies or storytelling, role playing, etc. Then there is responding. At this stage, the students can demonstrate what they have learned on their own. Here, question answer round can happen. They will respond. This is like a FAQ sessions, quiz sessions. So it's a formative or a diagnostic evaluation. Teacher can also improve their teaching style and students can also improve their studying pattern. Then comes the reinforcement. So without positive reinforcement, the students won't study it better. So this is giving them feedback, telling them, yes, you are doing something that is extremely right. So provide feedback to the students on the basis of their response and reinforce them. This will help them retain the information. Then comes the retrieval again. This retrieval is the final step. This is taking their test, giving them grades, summative evaluation. Then comes the generalization. The students should apply the knowledge they have learned to the new situations. What is it? This is by practice they will be able to do problem solving. They are at the generalized level now. They are at the reflective level now. So these are what? These are the 9 levels of instructions or 9 instructions that the teacher does. These are also helping the teacher to prepare a good lesson plan. Then Robert Garnier is prominent educational psychologist whose ideas on the conditions of learning are generally employed in every teaching learning process. He identifies the factors which account for the complex nature of human learning. He said human learning is extremely complex, and his point of view is often used to underpin the mechanistic instructional technology that is associated with the behavioral modification and performance of competency-based education. So according to him, the knowledge and the learning is not a linear path. It is too complex. Chaining can also be done. Associative learning is important. Then only the child would understand it. The teacher gradually, by using proper mechanistic instructions, by using 9 instructions, will teach the students And when these 9 instructions are given properly, there will be 8 types of learning. This is also something that he talks about. After these 8 types of learning, there will be some outcomes that the teachers are most interested in. This is what Gagne is saying. Let us look at the 8 conditions of learning also. Gagne identifies 8 conditions of learning or learning types. There are different varieties of learning, beginning with very simple ones. You understand with the most simplest math method, and gradually you understand the complex things also, ending with the complex ones. Although Gagne refers to these conditions as learning types, he is primarily interested in the observable behavior and the performance, which are the products of these conditions. So what is the product? There are 5 products, like the intellectual skills, like the verbal skills, that we will discuss at the end, that Gagne said the teacher wants the child to inculcate. What are these 8 types of learning? These are also seen in the hierarchical manner. So these 4 and these 4 can be divided. He uses the behavioral theories. So behaviorist groups or the behaviorist theories, and these are the cognitivist school, cognitivism, right? So there are these 2 schools. As I was telling, Gagne will be using these 2 schools. So we start with the least important type of learning according to him. This is not least important, you should say the most easiest type of learning. This is the first type of learning that the child learns, and gradually the child moves upward, right? So सबसे पहले your behavioral characteristics would be changing. First of all, look at this level. This is signal learning. What is signal learning? Just by one signal, you learn things. This signal learning is very similar to the classical conditioning. This classical conditioning was talked by whom? This classical conditioning was discussed by Ivan Pavlov. We discussed the example of the dog, how by just recreating the stimulus, by changing the stimulus and the response, you change the perception of the dog as well. He started to salivate by listening the sound of the bell, not by the food, but only by the bell as well. This type of learning is called as the signal learning. The child will first of all respond to the voices. This is signal learning. Then the child would go towards the stimulus response stage. This stage is same as your operant conditioning. Operant conditioning, who talked about operant conditioning? It is B.F. Skinner who talked about operant conditioning. He said that agar you are getting rewards out of it, you will be doing those things. If you have punishment out of it as an outcome, you will scum doing that thing. So you learn through stimulus and response. You know you have to learn this theory because it is asked in the exam, right? So with the stimulus is what? The stimulus was the clicking on the video is your stimulus, or maybe notification is your stimulus. Watching the video because it is beneficial is your stimulus and response. Then gradually the child learns to chain the things. You will relate one theory to another. So this theory of Gagne is associated with other theories also. You gradually learn to chain the things. This is how the knowledge is built. Then what happens? There is verbal association. You learn about the different words as well. So this is verbal association. Then comes the higher order thinking. Here your habits are changing, but now your mind will be used more. So cognitivism is related to your cognitive domain, that is your mind. Your mind is trained. You learn, discriminative learning happens. Now the child would understand gradually that this theory is different from the other theory that we discussed. Why is it different? How is it different will be gradually clear to the child. Then he or she will learn about the concept properly. They will learn the concept. Then they will learn to apply it. That means the rule learning would be done. They will create a rule, and at the end they will apply it to the life. This is called as the problem solving state. So we have the first type of learning, signal learning, then stimulus response, chaining, verbal association, discriminating learning, concept learning, rule learning, and at the end, problem solving learning is done. These are the different types of learning. What is signal learning? The individual acquires a conditioned response to a given signal. The learning is involuntary here. It happens in the mind because it is wired in this manner. Stimulus response, the individual makes response to specific stimuli. The correct response is rewarded. So he will again and again do it. Then there is chaining. Two or more previously learned stimulus and response connections are interlinked together. Two theories. You now are learning about Skinner and Pavlov. You are relating it with Gagne, right? That is chaining. Verbal associations are the chains that are verbal. That is, the child identifies an object and calls it by the proper name. The child can now associate the words and the objects that they can see. Then there is multiple discrimination. So the learner now distinguishes between the motor and the verbal chains. The child understands that this is a square, this is a circle. Gradually he will understand more about a circle. He'll study about the what is a radius, what is a diameter. Gradually the whole concept would be clear. The common response to a class of stimuli. In learning, a concept of learner responds to stimuli by identifying its abstract characteristics like the shape and the color. They gradually understand to discriminate and understand the concept also. Gradually the rule would be learned. They'll understand the two rules that are important there, or the rules that are important to understand it. Then gradually they will solve the problem on their own and they achieve the goal that they wanted to. They now achieve the goal of understanding the topic. The learner uses the rules that they have learned to achieve the goal. Problem solving is the combined product of two or more powerful rules that they have been learning. This requires the internal events like thinking to take place and problem solving. So they will be at a reflective level. Now these are the few outcomes that the teacher observes in the class. After doing everything, after the 9 instructions, there are different 8 types of learning that can happen. That is, these types of learning that we saw are done in a hierarchical manner. They are seen in a hierarchical manner. This means that these are the lower order skills, these are the higher order skills. So you move in this manner. When you acquire these 8 skills, there will always be these outcomes. So these outcomes are what the teacher is most interested at, the child is most interested at. These are what, after studying and proper instruction, there will be some intellectual skills you will have. This intellectual skills is the cognitive growth that you will achieve. There will be some cognitive strategy. You will learn the cognitive growth and how to strategize the things. There will be intellectual growth and cognitive growth. There will be verbal information. You will learn more about the language, how to use the language. You will have a behavioral change. There will be a behavioral change, attitude change, personality growth, and at the end there will be some motor skills. The psychomotor domain is also involved, right? So there are 3 domains that we have discussed. There is cognitive domain, there is affective domain, and there is the psychomotor domain. You can learn it by the word CAP here. So these 3 domains are used by the teacher giving the instructions. 8 types of learning happens and then the outcomes are seen. This is what Gagne was talking about. So I hope you understood the broader things Gagne was talking about. This was a question that was asked in 2019. From the list given below, identify the instructional events from which part of the structure of a lesson plan can be made. Select your answer from the options given below. Whenever you look at the word instructional events, you know they are talking about the 9 instructional events, the list of instructional events that Gagne talked about. Gaining the attention of the students, prior knowledge of the students, informing the learner of the objectives, stimulating recall of prerequisite learning. Prerequisite learning means pehle ki learning, prior learning. Checking the availability of the reading material in the library and eliciting the desired response. What should be the correct order? The correct answer would be B, 1 and then 3, 1 and then 3. This would be the correct answer. So the child would start with gaining the attention, then informing the learners of the objective, then stimulating and bringing the previous knowledge again, and then eliciting the desired response. So this should be the correct answer. B would be the correct answer. Let us quickly revise what we have done. So till now we discussed that there are 9 instructions of Gagne. These 9 instructions can be learned according to this, or you can learn according to the words that the constructivist theory people used, right? So there can be reception, expectancy, retrieval, selective perception, then there can be semantic encoding, then there can be responding, reinforcement, retrieval, and generalization, right? What is generalization? You can apply it anywhere. It's like a life-changing problem-solving skill that you have learned. Then after this, there are 8 types of learning, and it is very important. They can ask you a few things. They can ask is, in the behaviorist theories, how many types of learning are there? What is the cognitivism theories that are there? How many types of learning are related to this type of theory? They can also ask you about to arrange it in a chronological manner, because they are hierarchical in nature, right? So they will always be in a proper manner. You will move from the signal learning and you go at the top, that is the problem solving. So they can ask you to arrange it. So there can be multiple questions, and in different manner this has been asked, and they will be asking questions like this. So I hope you understood this topic. At the end, we discussed that there are always few outcomes that the teacher wants. There is the intellectual skills, cognitive, verbal, attitude, and the motor skills that the teacher seeks and the child also seeks. When all of these are achieved, then only the child has fully learned the concept properly. So I hope I made the things as clear as I could. If you have any doubt, you can write it in the comment section. I'll surely reply to you. Thank you so much.